welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage. Patreon subscriber Guy gave me as many chances as I want pretty much to test for Eternal Weekend, and this is the last deck that I'm going to be trying before the US Eternal Weekend. I'm in the recording window where Eternal Weekend is 3 days away for me, but it'll be last week by the time you see this. But Europe's got an Eternal Weekend coming up that this will still be relevant for. This is Esper Lurrus. I've already played Esper Lurrus on the channel, and Esper, the mana gets a little worse because you have to support a whole extra color, but you get Swords to Plowshares as an upgrade to Fatal Push. You get Containment Priest to help with Oath, which is one of Esper Lurrus's scarier matchups. And Lavinia, just generically insane permanent to have in play in the Vintage world, because so many spells do not cost what they say they're going to cost, or they're just 0 to begin with. The goal of all the Lurrus control decks is to stop your opponent from being a successful Vintage deck. This list has 7 forces in it, plus 3 spell pierces, plus a daze, plus 5 wasteland effects with the wasteland and the strip mine. And this deck is just willing to 2-for-1 itself multiple times to get to a point where the opponent's not really doing what they want to do, because Lurrus is always a card you can go get when you're ready, and it will recoup that lost card advantage early, slowly but inevitably, and turn the game back around in your favor. The other thing you're constantly threatening to do with this deck is Time Twister with an Orcish Bowmaster in play. Bowmaster U, untapped Time Twister, represents 17 damage on its own. You get the Bowmaster, the ping, and the initial 1/1 Orc army. Then the Twister is another 7 pings and another 7 power on your Orc army. Between Fetchlands, Force of Wills, if you've done any chip shot damage with anything else throughout the game, 17 might be enough, especially if the Bowmaster catches something on the way down. Like if you Bowmaster a Brainstorm or an Ancestral Recall, that's enough to make it 20. Of course, if you have 2 Bowmasters, that gets it done. If you just have a Psychic Frog in play, you could discard 3 of the cards you just drew off Time Twister to cover the gap. It's not hard to find the other 3 points, is all I'm saying. And this is a powerful way to end games. Psychic Frog here as a 4-of, that's another way to recoup the card advantage that you're losing in your deck with 7 Force of Wills. We've got main deck Graveyard Hate as well, that is recurable with Lurrus to get to a game where you completely lock out graveyard decks. Pretty much all Vintage decks have a nut draw, and this deck is designed to stuff the nut draw back into the container the nuts come out of, and then make both players play Legacy, where you are built to play a game like that, but your opponent is not. I think this deck is really good. I don't think this deck needs my endorsement because the numbers are all really good for it. Esper Lurrus is clearly the best deck by the numbers in Vintage right now. Esper Lurrus is slightly lower played. I have been told that Esper Lurrus is a dog to Esper Lurrus, but Esper Lurrus gets a huge edge against Oath. So there's a balance of, if you're playing Lurrus at a major tournament, if you think there will be more Oath, play this. If you think there will be more of this than Oath, play Dimir. But I've played Dimir already, and the thing I don't like about it is the Oath matchup, so good chance that if I play Lurrus, it'll be this one. Last chance for this deck to blow my mind, or else I'm just going to play Oath at Eternal Weekend. Let's get into it. This is Esper Lurrus from Guy. 3-for-1 Trading's Black Friday sale runs until Monday. Their entire inventory is 5% off, and they offer free worldwide shipping on orders over $500. Specially selected cards go on sale each day of the promotion. This is on top of the site-wide sale, and supplies are limited. Go to shop.3for1trading.com to check out the sale and turn on notifications so you don't miss the daily offers. It's round 1, I'm on the draw, and we're immediately in a Lurrus mirror. I'm going to keep this hand, which I might not have kept if my opponent didn't reveal Lurrus. But if we're going to play small back and forth Magic, things like Swords to Plowshares, Psychic Frog, and Wasteland are all good there. Oh, so is Ancestral Recall. I'm going to go for the Wasteland first, though, because I would just end up discarding cards if I play this Ancestral right now, and I do have Cheese Factor. They just turned off their own Moxes and Fast Mana, making my Wasteland better. Oh, and somebody doesn't have a second land. I wonder if they were protecting an Ancestral Recall with that, or that was their plan, their grand design. And with this Vexing Bauble in play, it's a little awkward because I'm not even sure if I can play out enough cards to make this Ancestral worth it. Yeah, it's worth 2 cards off me here. Maybe they'll just pop it, draw a card, and dump out some Mox in here. That would be great. Oh, we're Bug. That makes sense. Okay. Here I am. All right, yep. The Vexing Bauble finally paying out. Swords to Plowshare is going to show up and do work here. Plow the Deathrite. I would love to have plowed this and played Wasteland, but obviously the rules do not allow me to do that. I'm going to discard Mox Pearl. If they do pop their own Bauble just looking for velocity, I think I'd rather have Mishra's Bauble than a Mox at this point. Now I could start doing stuff. They have found more lands, unfortunately. I'll waste this Underground Sea, then play Psychic Frog. Ooh, Ancestral. Well, I'll play Bowmaster instead. They still get the cards, which sucks, but at least I am hurting them for it. And this Bauble's been really weird because it has been worth 3 cards off me, but it's also guaranteed that my Ancestral Recall and my Orcish Bowmaster resolve. Okay, you got your own Bowmaster now. That will kill mine, but I do have a 4/4 still around. Makes this Treasure Cruise in my hand a lot worse. Okay, Bauble's been worth 4 cards now. Here's a Frog. Do I have any tech lands? Yeah, there's no Undercity Sewers or Mystic Sanctuary or anything like that. Fatal Push, you got me. And the race is on. I'm looking for a removal spell before they find another thing to do. Orc Army, get in. Lavinia's nice. She does at least exist on the battlefield. Oh yeah, if they pop their Bauble in response, like they might be doing this just to force Lavinia. Okay, that did work. Free my Baubles. Unfortunately, this Bowmaster is still over there. I can at least get Lurrus here. I could play around discard by not getting Lurrus here, but I don't have 6 mana to get and play Lurrus next turn anyway. And what I want to cast are 2-drops. Like, I want to play Lurrus and then play my Bowmaster to kill theirs and then unlock all my Baubles and stuff. Wasteland, Mox Sapphire, Lotus Petal, Psychic Frog. They've got 2 cards left over there. If they happen to be Force of Will and a blue card, that's really bad for me. Time Walk, that's not great for me either. They're going to get to hit me with a Frog before anything else happens. Leaving back Orc Army on defense. Brainstorm. The Doctor, 1 card left in hand and 4 mana, so they can't Force of Will Lurrus. They might kill it when it arrives. Took me off a Tundra, and they just bought their own Lurrus. Okay. Fully into the Lurrus phase of the game. That land is a huge draw. Okay, I could get another Tundra here. What do I actually want to do? I could play Bowmaster and kill their Bowmaster. Then they can Lurrus and just hit me back. I could play Bowmaster, kill their Orc Army, then Deathrite Shaman is incentivized to block. But then I can't pop all these Baubles. Okay, I think it is play Bowmaster. And I can just attack first. I don't have to make any decisions now. They'll probably block with Orc Army. If they don't block, they're dead. Okay, that block makes sense. And then make sure I don't get dazed before I crack all these Baubles. Bowmaster, kill yours. Bauble you. It's a Deathrite. Just cracking both of these now. They do have enough mana with the Deathrite to play Lurrus, and Bowmaster drawing 2 forces was great though. Okay, Force of Will pitching Force of Negation on the Lurrus, and hopefully that'll be enough to flip it. Okay, great game. Man, Lurrus on Lurrus Gaming is so good. Lurrus is a broken card, but I do think it makes for really interesting high-skill gaming. It just pushes out everyone who's not gaming in that fashion, which is not okay for the average, like, modern or legacy metagame. But it does rule. I think Oko mirrors are really skill testing too, for what it's worth. It just pushes out everyone who's not doing that. Different definitions of health. Okay, push, turn scolding definitely coming in. Nile Spellbomb has some text versus Deathray Shaman and Lurrus. This is not a priest matchup. I don't think I need a Null, Steel Sabotage, Good Sign. I'm only even considering Spellbomb because it cantrips. I don't want like Tormod Script. This isn't a full graveyard deck. I could see Force of Negations coming out here. That's just some 2-for-1s out in a game where both players have the ability to catch back up with Lurrus. Do I think Nile Spellbomb is better, the same, or should supplement Soul Guide Lantern? Soul Guide Lantern gets to clip a card from the graveyard and draw a card. Nile Spellbomb clips all the cards and draws a card. Yeah, I don't think I want the Spellbomb. This is 3 Force of Negations out for me, and 2 Fatal Push Stern Scolding in. If you want expert sideboarding, Eco Baronin, friend of the show, has Esper up on his Patreon, and he has been crushing vintage challenges lately online with the deck. I did not think enough before hitting record to go get that information. All right, I'm going to keep. I have a turn 1 Lavinia, but it is readily available. Okay, opponent had their 1 of Vexing Bauble twice, which is good against this Mox Pearl in my hand, but having multiple other 1-mana pieces of interaction is pretty sick. Oh yeah, cash it in. Okay, cool. Well, that's gone. Black Lotus, I can't counter that one with the cards that I have. They are kind of representing Bowmaster, I guess. That's the instant I might be worried about. And I'm always worried about something like Ancestral Recall, but I can't do anything about that right now. But what I can do is put Lavinia down and fend off their first creatures. Lavinia resolved. You've got a Black Lotus and a land. Oh, wow. And no second land. Come on, one of my 5 wastelands. Oh. Well. I can Ancestral Recall myself and fend off a Bowmaster with Swords of Plowshares and or Stern Scolding. I would like to wasteland them this turn, which means I don't want to play my land first, but I also want the best possible outcomes for this Ancestral, which means having both Plow and Stern Scolding available when I cast it. I could also just Demonic Tutor for a wasteland, now that I'm holding the Ancestral. Okay, I'm going to play a land and attack. This gives me 2 shots at the Bowmaster. If they spend their Lotus to jump in Bowmaster to try to ambush me in combat, that's mostly fine. We end up in the same spot. They can't pitch cast Force of Negation here. Okay, and I am going to commit the Stern Scolding first, because if they have a layer of protection, I can Plow after they counter Stern Scolding. I cannot Stern Scolding after they counter Plow. Yeah, that worked. They have a second Bowmaster. They do. I don't think I'm that worried about this one, because now that they're tapped out with Lavinia, they can't Spell Pierce, Daze, whatever. Okay, that worked out well. And I have my own Bowmaster on the follow-up. They had to spend their Lotus to do that, but we do know their hand has 5 spells in it, at least. But they are going to lose very quickly if they don't get something going. Fatal Push is solid. Unlocks the hand when I was threatening Bowmaster Twister. Okay, I am going to Demonic Tutor for a wasteland here. Okay, Force of Negation, good call. I'm going to ping this Orc army right now. I'm just doing this right now because I don't want to play cat and mouse around Brainstorm or Ancestral Recall. I just want it to hurt if they cast it. The Doctor. I'm going to fetch a Tundra in the end step. I'm just fueling my graveyard for dig through time here. I'm looking for... Okay. I was looking for Force of Will, but I'll take this one. Okay. Good chance I twist into a wasteland. Yeah, I'm just going to send it. Their 3-card hand has to counter this twice somehow. Cool. All right. Just simple resource amassing. Just whoever has the most things will probably win here, and making good decisions about what to fight over, what hands to keep. I think in game 1, understanding that them revealing Lurrus makes it okay for me to keep a 5-lander with Plow and Frog was really good, because I had no mana problems and I was able to screw them, and I had 2 of the most important cards in the matchup just based on them revealing a companion. Felt good. On to the next one.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw for round 2 with a perfect Vintage Lurrus hand. This double force, double blue card. No real plan to win. Lurrus will save me someday. Just trying to roll their ankle, whoever they are. Straight to the dog food factory. Opponent mulled to 6. Mishra's Workshop. Vexing Bauble. Well, I am in absolutely no position to play against that card with my hand. It has literally 5 free spells in it. So I'll counter it. Oh, Wasteland is probably good here. I'm going to take a peek. Ancestral Recall. A whole lot of nothing, honestly. Well, I could Wasteland them, but that doesn't actually seem to stop anything. It does slow down the potential top decks of Jewel and the One Ring. If they draw the One Ring, it'll be pretty annoying. If they draw Jewel, Spell Piercing, that is going to feel good. I could save Wasteland for Academy or Urza Saga or a blue source. Okay, I'm just going to play Misty Rainforest and pass here. It's a weird hand, though. Okay, they played the Tomb. I'd love a Frog or just something that can stick it to them for keeping this weird hand. But it's not that. I am going to Wasteland Ancient Tomb. That one taps for real mana. Like, you actually can't even pay for the One Ring with Urza's or with Mishra's Workshop mana. Oh, another Tomb. Perfect. All right, so we'll just play that turn over again. Tundra, Mox. I could buy Lurrus here and try to get aggressive. I know that they have Phyrexian Metamorph that could copy her. I think I want to put Lurrus in my hand on this turn where I suspect that they are weak, and I can still interact twice even if they do rip a heater. I don't know if I'm going to play Lurrus next turn, even if I get there unscathed. Coveted Jewel. All right, well, I will force a negation that, pitching a Spell Pierce. And their hand is now Ancestral Recall and Metamorph. Okay, they're going to copy my Sapphire. I could have played around that. But they are going to be Hellbent. Do I want to force this or force whatever they find with it? I'm going to force this. Okay, that's actually an interesting decision because Jewel Shops does have a lot of air in it, where if that Ancestral drew like 3 mana sources or 2 mana sources in a Jewel, I'd almost rather counter the Jewel. Okay, Lurrus is in, but the shields are down. We're both top decking. I'm slightly favored because I have a thing. Like, if nobody draws a spell for the rest of the game, this favors me. But Lurrus has nothing to redeploy right now. I'd love a Bowmaster, a Frog, a Force. Just something to do something here. Swords of Plowshare is not particularly good for this matchup. Okay, they drew a card that they didn't play. What would that be? Like, I feel like Metamorph would copy my Lurrus, and then they could get a draw engine going with Vexing Bauble. They would play any of their bangers. Do I think they have counterspells in their hand? Did they just draw 2 forces over the last 2 turns? Uh-oh, mana's in the pool now. Could be in trouble. Mystic Forge, that one's super dangerous. They played a Workshop from hand, a land. That answers the question of what did they have last turn. And they did not use their Forge. Okay, Bowmaster might be clutch. Because Lurrus puts them to 4. If they if they activate Forge, they're at 3. And then if they play a Jewel, Bowmaster kills them. Mana Crypt. Okay. Okay, they did activate the Forge down to 3. Tinker. That's going to resolve. They got a Metamorph. Copying my Lurrus. Play Bauble from the graveyard. If they stack this Bauble to draw a card, I could immediately kill their Lurrus. And then I have lethal on board. Or if they did all this to protect the Jewel as the last card in their hand, I beat that with Bowmaster 2. Grim Monolith was the last card in their hand. Alright, end step, I'm playing the Bowmaster. Put you to 2. And I could just plow Lurrus now. Oh yeah, that's just lethal. I don't know what I'm thinking about. There we go. Cool. Figured it out. Unless they have some sort of instant speed artifact on top of their deck that wins without drawing cards. Well, I mean, winning a game one versus Jewel Shops is not something that I'm used to as an Oath main. That certainly feels good. Oh, we've got Mindbreak Trap, Annul, Consign, and Steel Sabotage coming in. And cards that are less good. Soul Guide Lantern does very little. It is a draw engine with Lurrus, but my opponent doesn't use their graveyard, usually, unless I give them a Lurrus to copy. Swords to Plowshares is medium, but their sideboard plan does involve creatures sometimes. Mental Misstep, there's not many targets for that in their deck. Or is Probe worse than Misstep? That's actually close. I care a little bit what's in their hand, but I care a lot if they resolve Ancestral Recall. But Ancestral's Soul Ring and Mana Vault are like the 3 1-drops in their deck. Key, there's a key to go with their Time Vault. Maybe I go down to 1 Plow and just keep all my blue spells. Okay, I'm going to try this. Here's this Gataxian Probe that I almost boarded out. I will keep this successful Force of Will hand. And Probe doing the awesome job of being blue right now. My hand is not fast, but very few hands with this deck are. Opponent mulled at 5 and played Otawara. Is this an upkeep Ancestral? It is not, and I've got a Spell Pierce now. I'm not going to probe them. This is perfectly satisfactory to me, just being a blue card. City of Traders as your second land. Generally not how people want to play Magic. Okay, I was going to leave up Spell Pierce, but now I have double force. I'm going to get the Frog in here. This does give them something to copy with Metamorph. I think I would force a Metamorph if they play it right now. That is what's happening. Force of Will pitching the Probe. Force of Will pitching Time Walk. Force of Negation pitching Spell Pierce. They've got 2 cards left. And I've got Psychic Frog plus Time Walk and Demonic Tutor. Okay, Frog first. Draws a Black Lotus. I've heard that card is powerful with Lurrus. Yeah, that just sets me off here. I get Lurrus. Play Lotus. Play Lurrus. Lurrus plays Lotus. And then Time Walk. Vintage! Okay, I will go to my extra turn. Cruise your daddy. Okay. I'm going to attack first, see what Frog draws. Frog drew a counterspell. I think I'm just going to DT for Ancestral here. And something like Annul or Consign is probably really good too. Even Strip Mine might be insane. I could also... I mean, like, Annul is just every card in their deck. Where Force of Negation would miss if they have another Metamorph. An Ancestral just does so much. Alright. Ancestral me. And I still have my Lurrus spell this turn. And look at that. Fully paid off. Might have been greedy to not take Annul, but I ended up with Annul anyway. And I'm just leaving up my mana to cast as many counterspells as I want this turn, rather than cruising into a hand that's already stacked. Okay, checking for lethal. 4 damage, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I don't have enough here to kill them this turn. I'm discarding the Mox Jet to put extra damage on them, though. I can just play that with Lurrus. It's like it's in my hand and also worth +1/+1. My haul! Okay, I mean, you're going to get some treasures. I was not ready for that one. Alright, I mean, I was talking some shit, but that card's really good. Mox Jet from the graveyard, and I am going to have to beat a Hull Breacher, which Psychic Frog should do pretty comfortably. Glad I didn't play that Treasure Cruise, what the hell. Mox Sapphire. Opponent grinding up to some critical number of mana. Argentum Masticore. I am going to replicate counter that once. And with 1 card in their hand, I don't think they could beat the 1 Consign, but let's just make sure. I did forget about Hull Breacher when I was sideboarding. I knew about Argentum Masticore, potential Wormcoil Engine stuff, but Hull Breacher is the thing that these decks are doing. Okay, I'm going to attack with both things. I will offer up the Lurrus as a trade, because if Hull Breacher dies, they're not winning this game, and Lurrus is not the difference, and this is actually a forced block, because they would die if they didn't. Okay, trade the Lurrus off, and now I could do shit like cast Treasure Cruise. Alright, they're scooping. They saw me removing cards from my graveyard, and that's enough for them. Okay, I mean, handily dismantling jewel shops feels really good compared to how I'm used to playing Vintage. Hopefully we get like a traditional shops or initiative matchup in this league so I could feel the other side, the matchups that are just close to free for Oath. Let's keep moving. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I am on the draw. In another Lurrus mirror, I'm going to keep my hand that includes Ancestral Recall, believe it or not. Lotus Petal, Black Lotus. I wonder if this is a combo Lurrus deck. Does my deck have Lotus Petal in it? It does not. No. Okay. All right. I don't play Academy either. This is a combo Lurrus deck. And they just bought Lurrus on the hyper aggro. I have to imagine they could protect this or they have a second wave because this is pretty aggressive. Okay. They are forcing me back. However, the last card in their hand better be good because right now... Oh, right. No, they have the Bauble too. They could just reload this. Never mind. This is insane. Powerful stuff. Let's see if my Ancestral Recall can keep up with it. But they have done 2/3 of an Ancestral already off this Mishra's Bauble. And it will catch up next turn and then surpass it the turn after. 3 cards in their hand. Like to know what you're drawing. Volcanic Island. Okay. So this is probably Lurrus Breach. And I am going to Ancestral now. I can't afford to play around Force of Negation when my deck could draw like Swords of Plowshares, Mox Pearl right now. I got half of it. I got the more common one. I do have a Force. It would cost me Time Walk. I can answer Lurrus, which is an important part of this game. I do think of Lurrus like the scene in the first Fast and the Furious movie, where the first time Dom and Brian race, where Brian smashes his Nas like super early in the race, and Dom in his car is like, too early, kid, and then he busts it right at the end and wins. Whoever has the first Lurrus, that exposes your crushing endgame to early interaction, and then you no longer have that crushing endgame, and the enemy Lurrus player can just chill and know that they have inevitability. And we have reached that place right now, where if I can successfully Swords to Plowshares this Lurrus, that's going to be really good for me. And I am going to go to their turn and plow in the upkeep. And the Lurrus was worth 2 cards. This Bauble got +2 off it, but they spent Lotus to get it. And it's card positive. It's getting the plow out of my hand. And all said and done, I think this Lurrus was a 2-for-1 or +2 cards. Ancestral in response. I can counter 2 things here. So I think I will start here. Force of Negation. Hate to lose Lavinia versus a deck that probably is really soft to it, but I think I like Time Walk more. And I might just lose both this turn. Okay, cool. They lost their Ancestral and their Lurrus this turn. Now they have to play normal Magic where I still have my Nas in the tank and they don't. Too early, kid. Obviously their start was insane. I would have kept the hand too, but the fact that I was able to absorb it and move forward with the game, I think I am now favored. Savine's Wreck targeting Mishra's Bauble. This is desperation. And they haven't bobbled me yet. Might be playing around Bowmaster, but what are you going to do? Just leave the Bauble and play the whole game? Bowmaster you anyway. Mox Pearl. I think it might be time for our hero to invest in a Lurrus and start pushing damage. Having the white removal, the Swords of Plowshares over Fatal Push was actually huge here. Versus Dimir Lurrus, they would have just Savine's their Lurrus back. But that Swords of Plowshares was huge. They did pop the Bauble. ready to take the damage to try to get something going. I think they are correct that they need to do that. If they can, like, tinker and protect it this turn, I could still lose this game. Oh, they can't tinker for anything big because they're a Lurrus deck. Never mind. What am I worried about here? Breach? Lorien Revealed. That's interesting. I think with the Orc in play and Time Walked in my hand, having all this damage might be worth the risk of letting them have 3 cards. Because now I have 6 damage in play. 4 cards left over there. Ponder. Oh yeah, let's go. They have chosen their fate here, which is they're going to combo through this because they can't play slow through it forever. Knowing that I have Lurrus in hand, they have to play like this because they're about to get buried. There is still a Time Walk in their deck. That's a little worrisome here, untapping with all these resources. Gitaxian Probe. They can see my Forced Time Walk. That is now lethal because of how many cards they drew. Psychic Frog. Now my Time Walk's even more potent. Attack for 8. And cast the Time Walk. They can't Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm this. They know I have Force in my hand. Force you back. Cool. All right. Lurkish Probe, Master. And perfect example of Lurrus gaming. We saw a really good example of back and forth Lurrus gaming where we both had Lurrus for a while back in round 1. And this was the opposite, where if the opponent just turbo buys Lurrus and you can survive that early wave, your inevitability is so high that you could just take your time and do whatever. Okay, I suspect this is a Breach combo deck. Underworld Breach. Stern Scolding counters the Lurrus itself. I didn't see a Bowmaster. I don't actually know how Lurrus Breach is constructed right now because the typical Grixis Breach deck plays Hull Breacher, which is not Lurrus compatible. I believe I want Nile Spellbomb. I don't think I want to go so far as Tormod Script, but having Lantern and Spellbomb in here is pretty cool. Might be able to back off at least one Swords to Plowshares. The Lurrus decks are mostly pre-boarded for combo matchups, though. And 7 forces plus all the Spell Pierces and everything. Like, this is what we're built for. Maybe Daze. If my opponent's a Tolarian Academy deck, Daze I can see being kind of mid. All right, 1 Plow and the 1 Daze out for Mindbreak Trap and Nile Spellbomb. Getting after it here. I do like that the Lurrus deck is easy to play. And what I mean by that, a lot of Magic players think that control decks with lots of decisions are harder to play than decks like Ancient Tomb or Goblin Guide centered, kind of all-in shoving kind of decks. And I actually think that decks like Demure and Esper Lurrus are so much easier because rather than having to sequence perfectly, and if you mess up, you're dead, you just have to make the same binary choice over and over again of, does this kill me? If yes, what's my best answer to it? And you just follow that flowchart until either they run out of questions or you run out of answers and then someone loses. I think Magic like this is actually really easy to play if you have a base understanding about what the decks do, so you can answer that question for yourself. I'm probing before I play my land drop because I would really like to hit a Wasteland here. Oh, they're not Grixis, they're Esper. Is this the BPK? Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is the Brian Kelly Jeskai Lurrus Breach deck. Did I actually see black mana game 1? Did I see white mana? Did I mess this up? Who did this wrong? One of us did. Okay. I'm going to play this Tundra, which represents Spell Pierce. My opponent does not seem able to accelerate their Saga. They'd have to draw a Mox to actually get constructs out of the Saga, which does take some pressure off of that. And this hand is actually kind of weird and bad. I'm not sure what's going on. If they start missing land drops, I get to just hit all mine and be way ahead forever. If they hit their next 2 land drops, the hand's fine. But like, they're going to Lorien Revealed for a land here. Urza Saga will go away the turn after that. And then if they get squeezed on mana, but I hit my next 4 no problem because I have them lined up already, that's huge. I might actually Spell Pierce some Mox if they play one this turn, because whether there are constructs in play this game or not is a huge difference. That I don't care so much about. Even with the misstep in my hand, they're showing me Pyroblast. Why would I misstep a Soul Guide Lantern. Yeah, I'll just go to my turn. Drew a Tundra. That's enough lands now, deck. And I could play Psychic Frog, protect it from the Pyroblast with Mental Misstep, or I can make sure I don't get Lingust this turn. I could play Bowmaster right now. I'm just going to play around Pithing Needle coming out of Urza Saga and naming my fetch land, though. If I can Spell Pierce the Intuition or Mental Misstep the Pyroblast this turn, I think the Savine's Wreck game 1, I was thinking about the wrong thing. The Savine's Wreck actually did tell me what deck my opponent was. I was just not dialed in correctly. The Intuition pile is like, if they tutor Black Lotus here with the Saga, then they can Intuition for Brain Freeze, Savine's Wreck, Underworld Breach. They did find the land. Time Walk, all right. That's a lot of pressure. But they didn't really use it. Now they can, oh wow. All right, now they can Intuition with Flusterstorm and Pyroblast available. They're just passing. All right, I'll show Bowmaster. They have not shown me anything in their hand that answers this. I know 4 of their 5 cards. They could sneak the Intuition past me here, but it will cost, or no, it won't cost them their Lotus. They have exactly enough to Intuition. Okay, have fun. And exactly what I said happened, what happened just happened. My opponent drew, okay, 2 Breaches and Wreck. All right, I'll leave you with the Wreck. My opponent drew 2 lands in a row, and I said their hand is kind of weird and bad. However, if they unlock all their mana, it'll start being good. And that is exactly what transpired. Drawing the Force is pretty decent. Upkeep, tapping their Academy. What are you doing in the upkeep? Did you draw Ancestral? Mystical Tutor. So this is probably for Brain Freeze. All right, I'll misstep this. This is about as good as that is going to get, I think. That did build Storm for Fluster, and I don't have Pyroblast protection anymore. Mox Emerald. Savine's Wreck well ahead of Spell Pierce. They could Fluster my Force. Pretty sure I'm just dead here. I'll Force Pitching Frog. Yeah, I think I was supposed to let that misstep resolve, knowing that they had Pyroblast in hand, or the Mystical Tutor. Because the Mystical Tutor for Brain Freeze doesn't matter unless the Breach is in, and I needed to survive the Breach fight. Okay, yeah, I messed this game up. There's Pyroblast. That happens. I'm going to Spell Pierce here, which does not actually solve the game, but I'm just trying to bank whatever small resources I can. Like anything I can take them off is helpful here. Okay, so they're going to get a Breach, and then they can Lotus. They could just 4th Air Lingus for a bunch here. All right, the Breach resolves. You're good to go. Have fun. F6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They could cast 3 spells here. If you cast Savine's Wreck from the graveyard, I believe that's how the card's worded. Yeah, so it doesn't care if you flash it back or if you escape it. But they exiled their lands on the first Lotus. Okay. Oh, there's an Intuition. I'm definitely dead. I just want to see their deck. I was over here thinking about, like, how are they going to Mystical? Maybe they Mystical, they Time Walk to draw it, then they have to flashback Savine's Wreck to get another Breach. But no, there's just an Intuition. We're dead. Okay, Ancestral, Git Probe, Brain Freeze. I'm going to give them the Gitaxian Probe. You can look at my hand of 2 Tundras, and then I want to make them mill themselves. I want to see the deck. Black Lotus is back. Exactly enough to Brain Freeze once here. They will have to target themselves with the first Brain Freeze. Ponder from hand. Okay. A Secret Ponder. Hidden. Oh, that's what they drew off the probe. Okay. For a second, my brain was like, where the hell did that come from? I thought I knew every card in their hand, but no, probe is a cantrip. Mox Sapphire. Their hand is 4th Air Lingus right now. They did just come up with another mana without having to Lotus. And these are targeting yourself. Just trying to look at the deck list here. Oh, they switched to me. Okay. I will concede to that. Yep, so they targeted themselves with just enough Brain Freezes to cast Brain Freeze again, and got me with the rest of them. Yep, that hides the information. Well played. Okay, a null should have been in the whole time. Breach is a enchantment. Tormod's Crypt. I could lose another Plow here. Sometimes this deck plays a Johnny Nacatl Pariah. I've seen some weird stuff. Brian Kelly is a master brewer. I think Tormod's Script might be too much, but knowing that Savine's Wreck and Intuition are part of their plan, I don't want to play with one plow. I do think they have creatures that I care about enough. Okay, I'm not playing the Crypt. I am playing the Annul. Let's go. Okay, I like this hand quite a lot. Keep it. I get to know what they're doing. I get to shut down Breach. I have a threat. What you doing over there? Tundra, Bauble, Pearl, Plow, Breach, Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. If I play Soul Guide Lantern right now, I have to exile my own Gitaxian Probe, but they're going to do it anyway. Yeah, all right. You're out of here, Gitaxian Probe. Yeah, they're on the slow control hand this time. Strand, Bauble, Ruby. I didn't know about that. That's what they drew for turn. Lantern, exiling nothing. Pearl. Okay, I have perfect info about their hand at this time. And they correctly chose to bobble me now to play around the extra Bowmaster ping. Okay, and they're fetching now. Oh, they bobbled themselves. That makes sense. Sure. Wasteland, and I'm going to pass with Bowmaster up. I'm not going to waste here. The two Moxen and the extra land in hand are enough for me to not be worried about that compared to deploying Bowmaster. And they drew Basic Island. Lurrus has been summoned, and they tapped out of white to do it. Oh, are they showing Pyroblast then? There's one unknown card in their hand, and they tapped out of red when they could, or they left red up when they could have left white up. They actually could have left blue-red up, but that's off to Wasteland. Okay, I get it. I see what's going on. Maybe. I'm going to get a Tundra, and I will attack with my creatures. I think sandbagging the second Bowmaster here might make some sense rather than pushing one extra damage in combat right now. Because if they think clearing Bowmaster is good enough, and then I play another one. Okay, here's Lurrus. I'm going to force that pitching force. Was the Pyroblast read accurate? They once again tapped out of white. Well, they had to for this card. All right. Well, that's going to happen. Lurrus can currently cast Mishra's Bauble and nothing else. I don't think I'm going to Soul Guide Lantern over that. What I am going to do, though, is play my other Bowmaster so I can play Force of Negation on my turn. They're drawing a card with Soul Guide in response. You might as well. Oh no, I was supposed to ping Lurrus. Shit. Fuck. Yeah, in my head, I was like, well, that's one. Yeah, that was just bad. Lurrus should be dead. I blew it. That was really bad, actually. Oh no. My bad. Okay, so the thing about playing these decks is you do have to play them well, and I may or may not have just failed that test. Like this same board where they don't have Lurrus, I think I'm massively favored, but now I am a clown, and that's not true. I attack for 3. Okay, I have Force of Negation that can counter Swords to Plowshares out of their hand. Soul Guide Lantern is fine. It is doing nice, slow, invisible work versus the Dig Through Time I'm holding. But now with 2 Bowmasters, I'm not gonna mess this one up. All right, just go to my turn. Black Lotus. I like that one. I'm gonna attack with my Orc Army. What do I want to do with this Black Lotus, though? Because they have Soul Guide Lantern, that's not doing anything else. They could just like take my Lotus out of the graveyard. Yeah, I might just leave Lotus in play and not use it on anything. Swords to Plowshares, Force of Negation, and another Pyroblast. Tough crowd. Okay, my chance to kill Lurrus is gone, and I messed up. They are down to 8 life. I still have Breach covered with Lantern. The next card they draw makes it so Orc Army doesn't even trade with Lurrus anymore, it just kills it. Underworld Breach. Okay, so this Swords to Plowshares is my... Alright, fine. That is a value breach that would stabilize the board, and if they just Intuition over the top now, I probably lose. Okay, yeah, this was really good. Obviously, as I've said multiple times, just not killing the Lurrus when I could have was a huge spew that was worth at least 1 card, the Soul Guide Lantern, and their life total here. Oh no, they found a plow. Might just die. They got 1 card left in hand. Soul Guide can redraw. They do still have their Lurrus activation or use this turn. You don't activate Lurrus, it just happens. And they can play Bauble with Lurrus, and they can also play Bauble with Breach and just go plus 1,000 cards here. Breach dies, but as long as Lurrus is around, they can refire it. Drawing 3 in my upkeep. Okay, a Tundra. I'm going to attack my opponent for 4. I'm going to Wasteland a Tundra in combat. This takes Swords to Plowshares off the table as things I need to be super worried about at this moment. It also took my Soul Guide Lantern away as an option. Yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to Wasteland there. I'm just spiraling out now. After talking about how these decks are easy to play, they're easy to play if you play well, not if you play bad. Okay, pass the turn. They bombed me anyway. I do have the biggest creature in play, but they have 5 cards in their hand. And a graveyard to use with Lurrus, where I don't. Mystical Tutor. This one will probably end the game. Got Swords to Plowshares. Ponder. Okay. Plowed my Lurrus. Stick through time has been really bad. They know what I'm drawing here. Hope it's good. Ancestral Recall. Spell Pierce. That's not it. I'm not winning the race. Alright, I can't win this game. It just unfathomable fuck up. This wouldn't happen in real life. You know, just streamer brain forgot how cards work. And I could have killed Lurrus 3-4 turns ago, and then I think I'm actually ahead and we're gaming back and forth, but them having a Lurrus and me not having a Lurrus. I'm honestly kind of glad we got to showcase that, because you do have to make the right play almost all of the time with this deck. It is generally easy to make those binary choices of what you need to do, but if you do blink or you misunderstand one interaction or something, you suddenly lose, and then the dam is broken. And obviously just streamer braining through a free shot on Lurrus is disastrous. But I can shrug that off and appreciate everything else that happened in that match, where there were a lot of really good, interesting decisions. Cool. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. If you're having fun, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to sign up for shop.3frontrading.com's Black Friday sale, November 27th through December 2nd. I'm on the play in round 4 versus Shouten, who recently won the OnZD Legacy Challenge with Oops All Spells. I wonder if that translates into Vintage preference as well. My hand is weirdly terrible versus that, considering the density of counter magic I play. But I don't want to go all in, assuming that somebody from a different format from a tournament multiple weeks ago would just automatically be on the same deck here. And I would keep this hand most of the time. If Gataxian Probe finds a Force or a blue or white Mox, we are cooking. Or a Spell Pierce or an Ancestral Recall. Any of the above. Okay, they are actually Oops All Spells, and I am actually dead. Petal, Mox, Sapphire. Yep, just literally dead. Okay, well, sometimes trust your instincts, I guess. Maybe I'm just supposed to concede, actually. Though, I haven't conceded. If my opponent does something like wait, like if they think that waiting and digging for a interactive spell is better, but why would they do that? Their deck is incapable of doing that. It just doesn't make sense to think about that. Lotus Petal. And there are things in play here. They're just going to win. Okay, yep. Failed a force check in a deck with 7 forces, but I did keep the hand. I'm just going to look at their list. Yeah, it's just the Legacy deck with Black Lotus in it. Okay. Is there a way to... Is there a spot to beat this? I guess is the question. They have... Can Swords to Plowshares interact is my question. Because there's one Narcomoeba in this list. And how many Poxwalkers do we have? I count 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 Poxwalkers. Okay. That's going to be the difference maker. If there were 3, I think we had a chance. All right, I'll let this resolve, I guess. They're just going to Cabal... I'll scoop to the Cabal Therapy. Yep, 4 Poxwalkers just triggered. That's enough. Okay. Disappointing, but it's fine. We just sideboard and continue with our lives. A lot of sideboard for this. I actually think I do like Annul and Steel Sabotage, both as blue cards, and it counters the the Moxen or a Lotus that are probably part of the chain with this deck. I'm cutting removal spells and things that are slow. Do I actually have 11 cards to cut, I guess is the question. Don't really need Wasteland in this matchup. They don't play lands. I like my blue cards because they pitched a force. Days might actually matter on the play. Probably won't on the draw. I think these reloads are too slow. If I'm cutting all my Bowmasters, then Time Twister gets pretty bad. Is like Treasure Cruiser Dig Through Time better than Time Twister with only one Bowmaster in the deck? Because I'm bringing in priests that can attack. Bowmaster having Flash does give me a lot of agency. I don't think it's better than Psychic Frog though, because all these other creatures are blue. Okay, I am going to hit submit. 11 cards in. Does Nile Spellbomb beat them by itself? Maybe. I'll keep. Okay, Underground Sea, Black Lotus, make blue mana, black Psychic Frog, Nile Spellbomb. I got that mana anyway. I'm going to cast Brainstorm. Okay, found a Force and a Time Walk. I'm going to put back Wasteland Time Walk. Or no, Wasteland Polluted Delta, because this leaves a Force Blue card and Misstep. Okay, that was a pretty good start. Let's see if I just get oopsed. They found Balustrade Spy off of Once Upon a Time. Zapped in Agadim. Mental Misstep. There's not infinite targets for Misstep, so hitting something like a Dark Ritual is good. Oh wow, they are going for it here. Well, if you're going to commit a Pact of Negation to that, I'm going to Force of Negation your Dark Ritual, and then they have a Pact to pay for, so they have to pay for Pact and beat Nile Spellbomb. All right. Satisfying games of Magic being played here. Oops, all spells. What a treasure. I am actually glad that decks like this exist in the format overall. I think it is cool that high power formats can support things like this. It's just, I mean, it makes for bad content. But that's nobody's fault. Days is not great on the draw. However, it is still blue on the draw, which is one of the strengths of the card anyway. And Wasteland literally is a land. Even though it probably won't find many targets, it does enable Mox Pearl to cast Containment Priest on turn 1. Like, that's just something to consider. It does cast Nile Spellbomb and Soul Guide Lantern, but I need to get a turn before any of that matters. Yeah, I think my blue cards are all just better than that. I'd probably cut the last Bowmaster if I was going to add Wasteland. Though that might be reasonable. What is Bowmaster even doing here? This game is not going to last that long. Okay, I'm going +1 Wasteland just literally as a thing that casts my hateful artifacts without changing my blue count. We got to get this one on the draw. Come on, deck with 7 forces. Hold up. They have 62 cards in their deck. I'm just noticing that now. That's just good deck building. This player in the Legacy event that they won, the Anzi tournament, they were playing a pretty off-stock build of Oops All spells that we shouted out in the Eternal Glory podcast that, you know, sometimes ignoring conventional wisdom and doing your own thing makes a lot of sense. Well, this hand is a mulligan in every world. Opponent's also on 6. Let's go to 6. Okay. Keep. Bottom Wasteland. I hope this is the Wasteland that I just boarded in. Send it right to the bottom. I am Ice Cold to Xantid Swarm. I hope that's not a card they play. Boggart Bog. Balustrade Spy. Whoa. That is the first spell of the turn. They're playing around Mindbreak Trap and Force of Negation. They just exiled 3 Spirit Guides. Oh my god. Okay. This will be interesting to navigate. How many Cabal Therapies are in the list is the question. Okay, there's 1 on the stack. There's 1 in the graveyard. It's possible that there's 1 I don't see. I'm just trying really hard to not miss anything important here. Yeah, I see 1 Cabal Therapy in the graveyard. They know I don't have Force of Will. Right, I'm going to Force of Negation, pitching Spell Pierce on the Cabal Therapy. They've got 1 card left in hand. It could even be Pact. All right, the Poxwalkers are in. Mindbreak Trap is just a super likely thing to name with this Cabal Therapy. Yeah, happens. They got a name wrong here for me to have a chance. Force of Negation! Oh, they named Force of Negation leaving the Mindbreak Trap. Do we have a chance? Did I count the Cabal Therapies correctly? Well, they're going for it. And the last card in hand must be Pact then. Or they just don't have any other plan. Sick. All right, yep. Well, I mean, they beat Force Negation and Mind Break Trap on turn 1. Awesome line. The triple Spirit Guide into Balustrade Spy involved 0 non-land or 0 spell-based mana sources. There was nowhere to break up the chain with a Force Negation. The Spy can't be forced. The Mind Break Trap wasn't on for this. Yeah, that was sick. Cool. I think the only thing I really could have done in this match is mulligan game 1 based on knowing that my opponent has played Oops All Spells before in a different format. Nothing I could do against that keep, though. On to the final round. I'm on the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I'm going to keep this hand. It's missing black mana, but it has Spell Pierce and Force Blue card. And if I make it to turn 2, I have Lavinia. If they are Dredge, which I have not played against a Bizarre deck yet in this league, I have the Strip Mine. And Lavinia is also pretty decent against them. My opponent stopped on 6. I'm going to Tundra Pass. Basic Island, Mox Sapphire. Okay, I'm going to cast Lavinia here. That takes down one of my counter spells. I could have Strip Mined them, leaving up Spell Pierce Force. I could have represented Bowmaster. But Lavinia is so powerful that just having her in play, I think, is worth the cost of everything else I just did. Oh, I think I'm actually supposed to fetch for Underground Sea just to play Lavinia, because now I can't Strip Mine and show Bowmaster next turn. Yeah, I think I messed that up. That was a lot of decisions condensed into one turn. Underground Sea revealed no Lurrus. Is this Grixis Breach? Is it Doomsday? Oh, it is Jewel Shops. No, it's not Jewel Shops. They wouldn't have Underground Sea in their deck. I don't want to play against Lavinia. Not with Force of Will in my hand like that. Spell Pierce, good one. Cut out this Underground Sea. Leave them with 1 land. And land count actually matters here. Yeah, if I had fetched by Underground Sea last turn, this would be much better. A Waterlogged Teachings, this is Grixis Breach. No, that deck doesn't play Metamorph. This is some shit I don't know about, is what's actually going on. And I'm going to play Psychic Frog now. That will be better in almost all circumstances than Orcish Bowmaster. We're in there on that one, still holding up Spell Pierce. Okay, they've got another Metamorph. I can't interact with this one, but I care less about it now. Though Psychic Frog's still really good if they copy that. They do have more cards in their hand than me. Okay, interesting. Can I beat a Psychic Frog? Brainstorm digs for potential removal spell action. That's not that. I'm going to put back C and Misstep. Okay, so I can discard 2 cards. If I have a 3-4 and they have a 5-6, I'm not winning. That's how math works. However, Lurrus can make things more interesting. All right, I'm just going to pass here. And I'll apply the Bowmaster plus Spell Pierce pressure this turn and think about Lurrus next turn. Is there a Dimir Jewel Shops? Why are there Phyrexian Metamorphs in this deck? I don't know what this is. Okay, no attack. I like that. End step Bowmaster. I'm going face. There's no reason to put a damage on Psychic Frog. And then I'm going to fetch for an Underground Sea in my upkeep. Force of Negation, pretty mid. Lurrus, pretty strong. Still not ready to attack, though. Lavinia does make it pretty hard to deduce what they have in their hand. Like, their hand could just be 3 Force of Wills and 3 Moxen, none of which they could cast. Or it could be, like, Fatal Push, Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, which could create all sorts of problems for me. Okay, if I attack with everything here, I could play Lurrus and recast whatever creature they kill. And they can't Force of Will that. Alright, I'm going to attack with everything except Lavinia. I don't want to leave the Lavinia shields down even for a second. They pass priority here. They have to discard to kill my frog. I discarded a Force. That's fine. This is the line I set up. Lurrus. Frog. Okay, that pushed damage and got a card out of their hand, and I could basically make that same play every turn moving forward if they don't do something else here. Another frog. Oh, I'm going to make that same play every turn until something breaks. Hall Breacher. That's pretty good. Okay, Hall Breacher's in. Can't interact with that one effectively. Not yet anyway, but if they block by Bowmaster, the Hall Breacher dies. Okay, cool. So I don't draw a card here. Or yes, I do. Ding, this has flash. All right, so Bowmaster comes in, finishes off the Hull Breacher. I draw the card, and Lurrus is busted. And that is a time walk for your face. That should be game. Cool. All right. I feel like Lavinia soloed that one. We'll never know what these 5 cards in hand are, but my opponent has not done anything for a long time. Okay, this looks like Grixis Breach. The Waterlog Teachings, the Hull Breacher, but the Phyrexian Metamorphs are a little weird. Stern Scolding. Metamorphs is 0/0 on the stack. Got him. Okay, this is kind of my anti-combo package, but I do want to respect Metamorph and Hull Breacher as well. Swords to Plowshares actually seems pretty good. Lavinia was phenomenal. I wish I knew more about their deck. Maybe I cut Treasure Cruise versus the known Hull Breacher strategy. Daze kind of weak on the draw. I could shave a Mishra's Bauble. That does reduce my potency of quick Lurrus value. Maybe this is too much sideboard. I think Steel Sabotage is the worst of the cards I'm bringing in. Mindbreak Trap might be too aggro as well. Is there something worse than Mindbreak Trap in my deck still? Dig Through Time and find cards under a Hull Breacher. Is Consign actually good? It can counter a Storm Trigger on Brain Freeze, but they'd have to be going from pretty low resource for that to matter. It's the Hull Breachers that are, or the Metamorphs that are weirding me out. Like this is some kind of hybrid deck. And it's not like one, there was multiples in there. I guess I'll start with this, and if there's a game 3 where I have more information, I can make some more adjustments. Oh, here we go. The combo. By keeping my hand, I will fail a force check if they send it, unless a 1-drop is critical to the line. But I have turn 1 Bowmaster, turn 2 Time Twister available. I did this once, right? Somebody conceded to the Time Twister on the stack. But it has come up in the league. Opponent's on 6. Mana Crypt. And a Vault. I'm going to misstep that. I'm not sure where I can break this chain, and I'm just going to pick a spot where it's possible right now. And a tapped land and passed. Okay. Now, waste them or shove the Bowmaster are live options here. They could just fail to function if I waste them. If they go land Tinker, that's still really good. I think this is part of a balanced breakfast, though. They're down 4 mana from where they thought they'd be going into this turn. And I would rather they don't cast Jewel than flash in Bowmasters onto a Jewel. Okay, Jewel Shops. Dimir Jewel Shops is what's being represented here. I'm going to stay the course. Wasteland, Soulguide Lantern. Why the hell not? Get in there. Take out Waterlog Grove, in case that matters. Yeah, this card probably shouldn't be in my deck now that we've seen Workshops. They either did a good job hiding those last game or just didn't have them. I'm kind of like 3/4 of the way sideboarded to where I'd want to be. There's some stuff in here that's better against Breach and useless against Shops, but I am most of the way down my combo preference line. Okay, they're on Mana Crypt Go. The Wasteland strat has paid off. I'm going to lead on a Frog, because I can't set up the Bowmaster this turn anyway, and they'd have to rip enough mana to do stuff, because even when they had the shop, they didn't play a 5-drop. Soporific Springs, this could represent Tinker. They could also just copy my Frog with a Metamorph. They could also pass the turn and not do any of those things. I like a Spell Pierce. I'm going to attack first. Oh, right, Hull Breacher. I can discard cards to beat that. Or they could just not block, and I have to draw a card. Okay. Not ideal. That is a card that I knew about, and it's a card they were representing with what they did, so I actually just threw that one in the trash. Tutor up a Tundra and pass. This Time Twister just got pretty awkward. They finally took damage off Mana Crypt on their 4th flip. I have a win con over there. Ancestral Recall. I'm going to cast Orcish Bowmaster. I'm going to go face on the first ping, because if they can kill Bowmaster, I'm not going to finish off Hull Breacher anyway, but once the Ancestral resolves, I get 3 pings right away. There's the 3 pings. I'll put 2 of them on the Breacher, and then 1 on the face. The shields are down, but that was a good exchange. We'll see if these 6 cards in their hand can beat me from the spot without drawing 11 cards. Academy, that's a good one. They could certainly cast a Coveted Jewel here. If they're on a pivot like Masticore, the Time Twister will smash them. They can go pretty deep in the deck, though. Like, if they Jewel into Jewel into Jewel, I guess that's too many. If they Jewel into Jewel and then find a Metamorph, copy my Bowmaster, kill Bowmaster, then they can go off. Something's happening. Tinker. Yeah, that card's good. Tinker for Masticore. Pass? Pasticore? Masticore, Pasticore? Time Vault. Uh-oh. Is the key in hand? Demonic Tutor. Well, that'll do. The Mana Crypt is gone. And my Spell Pierce is not up. Alright, yep, GG. Okay, now I know what they're doing, and I can sideboard appropriately. Yeah, the Underground Sea and the Waterlog teachings threw me off game one, but I think the multiple main deck Metamorphs, I probably could have or should have read better. A Nile Spellbomb and Soul Guide Lantern go out for 2 more pieces of efficient blue interaction. I am on the play, but this deck has so much mana, I don't have a lot of faith in Daze. The Hull Breacher was really important. Do I want another Plow in here? I don't think so, because I also have Stern Scolding available. Okay, I'm submitting my deck. Now with high confidence that they are Jewel Shops. High confidence this hand is not very good, though. This is a turn 2 Psychic Frog with only Spell Pierce to interact. I'm going to mulligan this. This is probably better. Do I bottom Tundra, Wasteland, Mental Misstep? I am going to keep this, but it has problems. Do I think wasting them is going to be better than having up an extra counterspell? I need the Lotus to do anything. I think I'm going to bottom Wasteland. This is risky. I don't love it, but it does pass a force check and apply pressure coming back. Hurl. Well, there's the misstep. Not a lot of homes for that in the matchup, as we've identified. Okay, do I shove this Bowmaster now? I don't think so. Oh yeah, we're finding the lands. I'm 1 mana away from Lurrus being a card I'm excited about. Played the Archive tapped. Come on, mana. Mana right now would be huge. Not going to complain about another force, though. Okay, they're up to 7 mana now, and I think they're playing around Spell Pierce. Right, Mox Pearl. It would be an aggressive push to get Lurrus here, but it's very good if it works. I can also just get Lurrus and worry about Black Lotus next turn. Yeah, I'm going to get Lurrus and pass. Because this leaves up a bunch of interaction. Where if I just play Lurrus, replay Lotus, they have an opportunity to force or fight over or copy my Lurrus where I don't have any mana. Another force, this time of negation. Lurrus, black, black, black. Replay Lotus immediately. Bowmaster with my available mana. Mindbreak Trap. That's fair. Okay, I'm not fighting over that. I did play 3 spells that turn. I do literally have something that attacks in play now that I didn't before. You've got a Lotus. 10 mana represented. What are you going to do with all that? Metamorph copying Lurrus represents Lotus every turn, and that Mana Vault comes right back. I am going to force this. I'm getting a little nervous. The shields are coming down. I need something to draw cards with Lurrus. Oh yeah. Lavinia. I kind of hope they do Force of Will this. That would let me use all my mana this turn. Okay, I could just cast this out of the graveyard also. Okay, that happens. White, blue, blue, blue. Play Lavinia. This is a slower line, but it lets me keep Force of Negation in my hand. I could have just sacked Lotus, hard cast. Force. Okay, they pitch cast a Force. Alright, I'll just replay that again next turn, it's fine. And they can't play Hull Breacher right now. They could play Orcish Bowmaster, which would be a blowout. Do I want to give them that option? What is this black mana for? I'm actually going to pass here. I'm going to be a wuss. Like, it could just be for Demonic Tutor. Or it could be the actual Waterlog Teachings itself. Relic of Sauron. I'm not fighting over that. It is some card selection, but it costs life to do it, because Ancient Tomb is their way to get to 3 mana. Lavinia. Mox Jet. And I'm still not attacking. This represents Hull Breacher, represents Bowmaster. They got me shook with the black mana. Next turn, I untap with 6 mana and 2 Force of Negations in my hand. This doesn't help versus creatures. And they decided not to Relic in the end step. They tapped Ancient Tomb and then untapped Ancient Tomb. They can't cast Jewel here, even if they have it, because I have Lavinia. Same with One Ring or Paradox Engine or any of those things. This is a close spot. Dicey. Okay, they've decided now in their main phase to activate Relic after not doing it in my end step. Guess they were playing around Bowmaster, maybe. Discarded Mox Emerald. That's not a card they could cast with Lavinia. And this does tap them out of both Bowmaster and Hullbreacher, which is a clear line for combat unless they have another mana. Ancient Tomb. Okay. Hullbreacher's back to life. But the cool thing about Lurrus is I could just attack with this Lavinia. If they flash in Hullbreacher to block, they take 2 damage from Ancient Tomb anyway, and then I just replay Lavinia. Something's happening. Oh. Dismembering my Lurrus. Well, what the heck? I'm going to force a negation that. They had to tap Ancient Tomb and smoke 4 of their own life. That was a huge cost. Okay, Bowmaster. They did have Bowmaster. When your opponent's doing something suspicious, respect it, is the lesson there. They're going to get a turn up without Lavinia in play, but I am going to be representing Hardcast, Force of Negation, and now they're in top deck mode. And I know that Lurrus can attack into Bowmaster pretty confidently. In a second, Bowmaster's bad, Hullbreacher's bad. I guess it's the same. Depends on what they do this turn. All right, they're making mana out of Relic. Dismember. Blue, blue, blue. Force of Negation. Now Lurrus can attack for sure. Psychic Frog. All right. Attack with Lurrus. And they value having Bowmaster in play over having 7 life instead of 4. And I'm not going to play out Frog. I think I'm going to win this game without it. But if they dumpster me over the top somehow, I'd like to have Force of Negation available. And they took some draws and scooped it up. Couldn't find the answer. That is a positive record where I straight up just completely streamer brain punted one of the losses, and the other one, I had the option to use information, meta information I had about the player to maybe mulligan a hand that I otherwise think is fine, and decided not to do that, and just happened to be right this time. I was right about my read, not right about my decision not to act on my read, but in the interest of a pure experience, I'm just going to chalk that up to getting dumpstered by a force check deck that I failed to force check. Yeah, 1 punt, 1 weird matchup, and 3 wins. And this deck's obviously powerful. The Lavinia was really good multiple times. We only played against 1 Containment Priest matchup, and it was one where Priest didn't come up because the game ended on turn 1 all 3 times. But if I had played against Oath, if I had played against Dredge, I would have been pretty excited to see these. Swords to Plowshares mattered once against a Lurrus compared to a Fatal Push, where my opponent had Savine's Reclamation, but their thing was in exile and they couldn't get it back. That was a nice little extra gravy on my pizza. Yeah, this deck's really good. I was like 80-20 gonna play Oath before going into this league, and now it's closer to 50-50. And when I'm recording this, Eternal Weekend is 2 days away. I'm going to have to make a decision soon. These play patterns are so good, though. Just counter your shit, win somehow, make a lot of small decisions. Like I said, although knowing the format, having format knowledge to make the appropriate binary decision might be something that takes time to gain, once you do have it, this deck is not actually hard to play. I was worried maybe I wouldn't be able to figure out matchups in time with all the little decisions you have to make, but it's not actually that complicated at all. It's like, that's a coveted jewel. I'll counter that. You just like, it's very clear what's going to be a problem to you and what's not as the games unfold. Yep, good chance I'm on this. You'll all know by the time this video comes live, but this is a large identity crisis, and maybe I'm not playing Oath at Eternal Weekend. To be determined. Key, thank you for all these opportunities to test for Eternal Weekend. It's been a big help to get all this vintage on the channel. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out 3-for-1 Trading's Black Friday sale. Check out my Patreon, where I posted my lists and matchup plans before Eternal Weekend. If you missed that, you could have had them. If you're going to Europe, you can have them again. That's all on the Patreon. I'll see you next time.